Good morning. It is Monday morning, meaning it's time for some Motivational Monday. My name is Christopher Donnell. I'm pastor here at Urbana UMC. So glad that you're joining with us. If you celebrated Mother's Day this weekend, hopefully it was awesome and treating the special moms in our life in an amazing way. Hopefully they had an awesome weekend as well. This Monday morning, kicking off with this statement that we've been saying the last couple of weeks at church, and if you've tuned in, you've heard it. But this idea is, how do you spell faith? Well, normally we would say Faith, but it's actually in our sense of stepping out of faith, it's spelled risk, risk. Faith is spelled like risk. And when we're looking to grow in faith, there will always be risk involved. It's typically not an easy thing. There's always question marks. It's kind of like, what's on the other side of the hill? If I step out on the water, what happens? Will I sink? What's the unknown? What's in the unknown? What's to come? And then there's this idea that we have to risk, to trust, to believe, to see that faith grow in us. And there's faith is needed in a lot of things, and which equates to risk. There's faith involved in forgiveness. If we're dealing with strained relationships, believing that forgiveness can come from our hearts, or that people will accept our forgiveness. There's risk in that. There's risk in belief, even believing in God, believing in Jesus. There's risk in that. For so many, it feels like, if you don't understand the faith, it can just feel like, why would I just pray to something I can't see or feel or know for sure? And there's risk involved. There's faith involved in sharing, like the gospel, like with your friends or someone you care about, to share the good news that Jesus is for us and that he's made a way for us. And there's risk in sharing that. What if they turn me down? What if they think that's dumb? Or what if I mess it all up? There's risk involved. There's risk in giving, and giving of our plenty, of our resources. There's risk in that. And we can say, well, what about what happens if the rainy day comes? And why would I give to others when I have to worry about myself and I have to keep the roof above my own head, secure? And there's risk involved in it. There's risk in trusting that people will do what they say they are, trusting that God is good. There's risk in all of those things. And in those, when we do take those risks, though, our faith grows. And I was reading Matthew chapter 14:28, the account where Jesus and the disciples were ministering, and they go out on the boat, and Jesus stays behind. But then Jesus walks out on the water and meets them in the middle of the lake. And Peter says to him, "Lord, if that's you, command me to come to you on the water." And then Jesus said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink and cried out, "Lord, save me." And I love this because there's two things that are going on here. There's an incredible risk on Peter's part, and his faith is this mountaintop experience where he walks on the water with Jesus. But just for a moment, and then he sinks when he sees the winds and waves. Does that mean that first step was a disaster and worthless? No, that was a baby step. And I think about a baby step in all of our lives. And so going back to forgiveness, even per se, like maybe there is a baby step that we could risk with forgiveness, with trusting someone or giving or believing or sharing Jesus with others. Maybe there's a baby step in that, because there's also, after that first step, there's another step and another step. And there's always more to risk and always more faith to grow. And so we know Peter, this is not the last time we hear of Peter, just him sinking and Jesus saving him. No, we know that God uses him in a mighty way, and God blesses Peter, and this was a part of his journey. This was one step of faith that he risked. And so our motivation, our challenge today is that, what can you trust God in, whether it's one step or the next 101 steps, to take a risk to grow your faith? And whether that's forgiveness or giving or sharing or belief, there's an opportunity to trust God with a new risk this week. So hopefully your week is awesome. Would love to hear about it in the comments. If you're taking that risk, reply back and tell us what happened. Have an awesome week.